and welcome to that episode of Al Jisr Podcast. We will be discussing electricity outage students and their experience living without electricity. My name is Abdullah and I am with Heishly, a university student in Arizona. Welcome, Heishly.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here with you, Abdullah.
Yemen electricity system is crumbled and drowned with corruption. The war has escalated that harmfully. Here in Aden, the base of electricity outages is 2 hours on and 5 off. This is the best we can get with a monthly cost of nearly $20. But my family moved to alternative solutions depending on renewable energy resources. We have 2 floors, each has 2 batteries and 2 solar panels, in addition to a generator for emergencies.
Oh, wow. That's super hard, Abdullah. Have you experienced that since you were a child, or is this a recent thing in your country?
Well, this is the recent days. I have experienced some of lack of electricity since I was a child. And at that time, we didn't have any alternative solutions. So we just were staying under the darkness.
That's super tough. I can't imagine experiencing that since you were a child. I feel like I can somewhat relate to your situation, Abdullah. I'm from Puerto Rico, an island in the Caribbean. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, and us Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens, but not a lot of people know that, actually. So not a lot of people know the events that take place here. In September 2017, Puerto Rico was affected by a Category 5 hurricane named Hurricane Maria, and just devastated the island completely. The entire island suffered electricity and water outages for months. I didn't have electricity for 6 months. So I didn't get my electricity back until March 2018. The entire island suffered electricity outages. We didn't have phone service. To this day, Puerto Rico still has never fully recovered and still has an awful electricity system. And the citizens, my family included, they lose power constantly for days or for hours. Despite this, Puerto Ricans are being charged excessively for electricity due to the imposition of a North American privatized electricity company named Luma. And I think that there have been 6 or 8 price raises in the electricity bills. So it's really sad how the residents receive low quality electricity, but they still have to pay a lot for it. And the way that we handle having no electricity, we depend on candles, flashlights, and portable power stations and generators, if one can afford it, that is.
How did you manage to communicate with your friends at that time?
Well, it was very tough because none of us had signal. What I would do is that after the hurricane passed, I had to go to their houses personally to see how they were doing. And then when I finally did receive signal, I only received signal if I stood in one specific spot in my backyard. And that is when I could try and talk to my friends if they had signal at the time as well. But we started university in October 2017, so a month after the hurricane. So that's when we saw each other. So even if we didn't have our phones, we didn't have signal, we would see each other in our classes. So, but yeah, it was very tough.
That sounds like Yemen in a normal day.
Yeah, I guess I experienced that like you as well.
How did you experience that thing, being off of the internet communication with your friends and the war?
I felt pretty hopeless. I felt very sad. I know that it can be a superficial thing for some people, but that was not normal for me to experience. So from suddenly having communication on your phone and your laptop to not having anything, no sort of communication, I just felt really desperate and powerless because I was very lucky that I lived near my family, so I could drive and see how they were, but I couldn't even communicate with my family. And my friends lived farther away from me, so I was just really worried. I think that's the word, worried and helpless. So do you feel like that as well when that happens to you?
Well, I feel it like that, but we have an activity we do it when the electricity went off. We sit together in a room speaking about our memories as kids, about the past days, we might play cards or play some games that I can't explain now, or well, I might read one of my books on my shelf.
That's super nice. I'm glad that you did that. It can help calm you.
Yeah.
We asked many students if they've ever experienced a day without electricity, and if so, how do they deal with it?
When the electricity becomes off, we hanging around with friends, or we have a lot of kind of games that we play. Also, we stay together and read or tell a story to each other. The electricity was off for 2 days. We can't live our life well. Also, we don't have internet well. So, it's somehow difficult.
In Aden, we suffer a lot from power cuts, but we have developed a solution for this. Almost every home, not every home here, has a solar energy, batteries. All of these things helped us adapt to the situation. And for me, I do nothing. I spend my time watch Instagram or Facebook or watch a movie.
If I have no electricity, my family and I gather on the rooftop of our house at night, and we spend our time telling stories and poems or counting stars.
So when I don't have electricity in my home, I truly feel bored and everything is stopped. You can't see or watch TV, or everything can't work like machines and like that. So I try to read books or sit with my family, speak with them. But sometimes I feel bored also. So I try to go to play football or hang around with friends until it's back and everything's become right.
Thank you for answering. It's very interesting to see how their experiences and their feelings compare to us, American students, North American, Arizona, and me, a Puerto Rican student. So thank you for answering. And I also would like to comment on the fact that someone said that they like to read when the power goes out. And I also like to do that. So high five to you for liking to do that.
We also asked Arizona students, have they experienced a day with no electricity, and how would they think their day would be like?
Honestly, a basic human right for us to be able to have electricity, or at least, things that allow us to continue our daily lives and be safe. I grew up in Colorado where it snows a decent amount. And so I do remember one time growing up that there was a huge blizzard that cut off our power all day. I couldn't imagine living like that. It's crazy. Even my grandparents live in Florida, and with the hurricane that they just experienced a few weeks ago, they had to evacuate. But my grandfather, he uses oxygen, and his oxygen machine needs electricity to operate. So they had to evacuate to make sure they would have electricity. Things like that we take for granted. Electricity, and it's just so important to our daily lives. And I think we don't notice that as much until we have to go without it. And then we realize how often and how much we truly use it and need it.
I know based off my past, there has been some days with no electricity due to storms and things like that. And there's no electricity. It's really interesting because I make you realize how important it is. Like, for example, like bridge doesn't work, the lights don't work, even the simplest things like you can't charge your phone. And it's honestly, the most important utility we probably have, electricity. And because, we're so reliable on everything that it provides for us. But how would my day be without it? It would be drastically life-changing without it. I mean, my day without it would be drastically different. And it would be really interesting to go a day without it, honestly, and see how different things would be.
Here in the US, much of our lives we rely on electricity. So it's kind of, if electricity was to go out, it would be very tough for me, especially here in Arizona. We're a desert state. So during the summer, it gets pretty hot. So we need air condition. I would probably have a heat stroke It's uncommon to see electricity go out in the US unless it's related to natural disasters like hurricanes. I feel like a day with no electricity would have a pretty huge impact on me, but I feel like it's needed sometimes to see how you can survive without electricity. Because when you rely on something too much and that something is removed from your environment, you feel empty. So it's good to learn to live without a certain thing. So I'm sure if Yemen students and Arizona students were to be stuck at a location where there is no electricity, Yemen students would probably be able to survive more than us from Arizona. Let me know what you guys think about that.
I'm sure that Yemeni student would navigate you to safety.
Yeah, I can help them too, since I've experienced that. Us Puerto Ricans have experienced that many times. So don't worry, Arizona students. Abdullah and I will help you. But actually, you know what's interesting is that a lot of people in the United States and Europe, they actually stay like in Airbnbs and stuff that are very isolated, like cabins in the woods and stuff like that. They stay in places where they have no electricity, no internet, and they take that time to relax and recharge and just like be by themselves or be with their family without the contact to the outside world. So that's very interesting that some people experience that daily, but some people actually pay to do that. But then again, it's always interesting because, you know, they have a choice. The people who do that, they're making a choice to do that. So they're gonna come towards it with a different opinion. So, but I actually have another question, Abdullah. I was going to ask you if as a student, since we're both students, do the power outages affect you by any means?
Honestly, I believe that I'm doing fine. But there were moments when I was studying and doing my homeworks under the light of the candle. What about you?
Well, I have also completed schoolwork by the candlelight just like you. I did that many times. I still managed to do good grade and I do fine, but I would be lying if I said it doesn't affect me. Just like there in Yemen, I assume the heat is unbearable and it doesn't really let you concentrate. Also, the lack of chargeable technology, such as phones, laptops, or tablets, it makes it difficult for me to turn in assignments or to look up stuff that I don't understand because I rely so much on technology for my schoolwork.
We are all do, Heishly. We rely on technology to do our university tasks. And thanks you, by the way, for joining me today.
Oh, it was no problem. I'm so glad that we did this. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Jisr Podcast. We have been talking today about electricity and how we deal with having it and with not having it. It was very interesting to see and hear the experiences of Arizona and Yemeni students. So it's very interesting to see and hear perspectives from all around the world. I'm Heishly here with Abdullah. And we hope you enjoyed our podcast and please keep tuning in to hear future episodes. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Jisr, The Bridge, is a collaboration among students and faculty from 4 public universities in Yemen and the faculty and students at the University of Arizona. They're participating in this 9-month cultural exchange project in Yemen and the US.